session,
Hello, recording.
and we are live now.
Awesome.
So I said preparing to live stream. Fantastic. Okay, well, we should be on and popping.
Awesome.
We should be on right now, and I'm excited. This is like a treat for me because I never do this. Like, it's so rare. Um, I I'm just such a private person. I am very lively in my community, but when it comes to like outside influences and social media, I am not the one. It took me so long to even start something like this, just simply because, my my chart ruler, Saturn, since I'm a Capricorn, it's in Leo, and it forces me to have to be on the front lines, but it's not something that Saturn typically feels comfortable with. So I just wanted to thank you for being here. Hello, everyone. This is your girl D. I am here with Ty, and he is called Ty in the Cards here on X, and we're doing a little stream together today because just you know how it is when you live in the flow, things are always flowing in your way. And there are no coincidences, right? Everything is tied in together. You just have to connect the dots and flow through that energy. So, please excuse my voice. I've been doing a lot of talking since Christmas, nonstop, working my tail off, wrapping up last year, starting 2026 with a bang. And so, you know how it is. Like when you grind, you grind. Sometimes self-care takes a back seat. And here we are doing a stream with no voice. So bear with me and my raspy voice. Some of you in the kink might actually like it, so who knows? But
Human.
guys, welcome. Ty, please say hi to the group and please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hey. Thanks again for having me. This is awesome. Yeah. So grateful to be here. Yeah. Hopefully, talk about something that you guys haven't heard about before, which is cardology, and that's using the standard deck of playing cards and combining both aspects of astrology and numerology to use a pattern and then detect our life paths, our birth card or imprint or something similar to our sun sign, as well as our relationships. And we can zoom in on specific periods of time down to the day, and we can zoom out to the macro level of our lives. So it's a fascinating system, and yeah, stoked to be here.
Awesome. That's so nice to hear. Yeah, so for those of you who know me and follow me, I've been here on X for a very short amount of time, maybe about a year and some months. And I don't do these often, but when I do, I try to bring people in here that bring the knowledge, that bring the energy, and that are in flow with the universe. And so in 2025, when I was doing my year wrap up, I asked Spirit, like, hey, universe, like, what am I supposed to get into in 2026? And many people might know me as astrologer and as a analyst, but they don't know my side, my other sides. I also am a medium and I work with tarot. But so I was doing my card spread for 2026 to see what the universe has in store for me, and it kept coming back to the Fool, and the Fool's journey. And I was doing a meditation, and it was showing me how 2026 is going to start a new cycle for the Fool, for the Fool's journey. And so it took me back to the books on cardology. I haven't been able to read them in a while, and I haven't really explored them in depth. And sure enough, like a few days later, you popped up on my feed, and I don't follow that many people. Most people I follow are friends and people I know. So uh, the things that usually come through my feed are pretty much in alignment with what what I typically would, work with. And so your stuff came in and I was instantly like honing, like, who's this guy? What is he doing? His graphics was cool as shit. Like I was like, okay, I gotta like talk to him. And I DM'd you and I'm so glad you responded. And I was like, it was like an instant like draw, like an instant connection. I was like super I don't know, like attracted to the energy. And when you responded, it was like, yes, he responded. This is awesome. And I was like all excited. Ever since we started talking, I seen so many angel numbers, which I haven't seen, I want to say almost in years. Like I just haven't been connected to the numerology side of the matrix for some reason lately. And yeah, as soon as I like started talking to you, I'm seeing the 111. Like I posted this, and when I meant to schedule it, like 111, today's January 11th. When I was like setting up the stream was 444. I just looked at the clock a minute ago, 6:06. So I'm feeling the flow as soon as I hit up with you, like all the numbers are coming in.
That is amazing. And I've actually had a very similar experience. It was just like to draw me into like building this profile basically because this is something I've been studying for a while now. And it was just like I had this draw also very similar to your experience, which is very interesting. We didn't know each other's experiences before this. So I'm hearing this live too. And it was a very similar experience where it was just this draw of like, this needs to be shared, and like I was stunned to see that there was absolutely no one else like on X even talking about this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess here we go. I have been
Yeah,
knighted. I have been, you see a problem, now is now your problem to fix it. So it's like, so yeah, here I am throwing myself out here, and thankfully I have a background in music and design and things, and that's what kind of brought me into this, symbolic form of astrology to begin with. But yeah, a very similar journey. And yeah, the angel numbers are it is nonstop since probably about Christmas for me.
that is incredible. So tell me more about these backgrounds of yours because I find it super interesting that a lot of people who are in the mystic arts, whether it's astrology, numerology, cardiology, there's so many others, right? That they come through either engineering, math, science, or music. And there's a connection, right? Like in terms of the scale and the math and the angles and the geometry and the algebra and all of the things that come behind all these sciences. Because to me, music is a science as well, right? And so,
Right.
yeah, I love it. So yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, it's all patterns, really, and
yeah,
so it's like math is a pattern and time is a pattern, as we see illustrated in many ways through astrology, numerology, cardology, and like all of these are patterns. And so it's just a way of deciphering that pattern. And I'm always of the thought that it's like, I don't think any of these systems are wrong. You know what I mean?
right.
It's like none of them are wrong. They're all just kind of pointing you in, it's similar paths to the same truth. And so
Yeah,
it's whatever your style is. And yeah, coming from a design and music background is already having that innate acceptance to patterns and recognition to patterns. But then really tying it all together, yeah, with the cards has been absolutely mind blowing for me personally on my own journey of discovering these.
that is incredible. And I just literally checked my settings to make sure everything's running properly. And guess what? We had 144 viewers, but of course,
Of course we do.
you
I'm just
cannot.
accepting it.
You
It's just like, of
cannot
course.
make this stuff up. You just cannot make this stuff up. So I just like I'm loving this. Yeah, I just in cloud nine. Like this is what I've been wanting to do for like the longest time. I'm just full of energy. Like I don't know what's wrong right now. Like I'm
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's it. That's
just
a
like
great, that's a
loving
great
this.
thing.
Oh my God, but let's get serious. Like let's talk about some of this like really important stuff. So I told you I purposely didn't share like a whole lot with you because I wanted to share it while we were live to get like your most genuine, like opinion and perspective on some of these topics because some of them can be a little bit serious and some of them can be a little bit depressing. But
Sure.
from the, from the astrology perspective, we're going to have in 2026, a node standstill return. So we're going to have these like particular aspects that are happening, which really triggered a lot of the events that happened in 2006, 2008, 2010. And if you were around back then, you would know that we in America, as long as in other places, because what happens here in the United States really does ripple economic and military wise across the world. But we had, the housing crisis, the housing bubble, burst, and a lot of people lost their homes. While we had really high, all-time high levels in a lot of assets. And what typically happens when you have the lunar nodes in the axis of Taurus um, in 180 degrees in the opposite direction, is that you will start to see like a lot of assets that have to do with Taurus, like the housing market, experience like a difficult um, period, right? Like the bursting of the bubble. But it's the interesting thing is that because of the business cycle of 18 plus years, 18.5 years that happens, with the lunar nodes change position, you will see a lot of the same business cycles, like patterns that happen in those years. So, and then this time, additionally, with the standstill of the nodes, it's just going to make things even more visceral and more real for people. Um, so when I was doing my channeling at the beginning of the year, and I said, how can I really help people this year? Because I want to make it my last year in finance. For those of you that don't know much about me, before I got into this world, I actually did held a Series 7. I was actually a financial advisor at one point. Even though now I don't officially give financial advice because my license has expired now, but I was a teacher. I taught from babies, like 2, 3, 4 months old as an infant toddler teacher, all the way to teaching teachers in college level courses. Um, I was a counselor at one point. I mean, I've done a lot of things. I was an engineer. I have multiple degrees, but nothing ever satisfied me like working with children and families. So this might be my last year in crypto, at least on finances, publicly. I think I'll trade for life because I just enjoy it. But I think that, publicly, it will be my last year, and I'm gonna start focusing back on helping families. So when I did my spread for the year, I asked Spirit, like, so where should I be focusing my attention for this year to help as many people as I can before I leave this space? And one of the things they talk to me about is focus on the relationship between the playing cards, tarot cards, astrology, and write a book about this connection for 2026. Um, I've been working on that book nonstop since like December. And it's just going to be a small book, but as a researcher, I'm used to writing a lot of material very quickly. And I want to talk to you about that today because I think that people really need to know what this represents in terms of the restart of a news cycle, the restart of things. And if you notice a lot in the news right now in the news media outlets, you see a lot of stuff talking about new crypto regulation, about all the things that the laws that they're trying to pass. And you have XRP and Ripple working behind the scenes to become one of the most big players of that new system, not for the people, but for the big banks, right? And so there's so much brewing under that no one is watching and no one is paying attention to that is going to restart this new cycle. And I want your opinion looking at the cards, looking at the connection between the Fool and the Joker, right? What are your some of your, I guess, like ideas or feelings about what is currently going on? How would you tie it to the cards? And what are some of your outlooks for the upcoming year? Yeah, like
Sure.
something about that.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, like you said, new cycle. It's year one, fire horse year. There's
Mm,
all these different things that are lining up where it's like it's supposed to be like this is a trailblazing year. You know what I mean? And that's the underlying notion that seems to be here, and that's also reflected in the cards. So this year is actually a Jack of Spades year. And to a lot of people, if you don't know the cards, that doesn't really mean anything. But what the Jack of Spades is a Jack is essentially an 11. And then also a Jack, when you look at the geometry of a Jack, he's a court card, and he actually only has one eye visible. He's got one eye looking away from the Jack, or from away from the spade, excuse me. And so what that kind of signifies is that the Jack has a choice. The Jack has a choice to either play the high expression of his card, which
yes,
is unlimited creativity, youthfulness,
yes.
just like a trailblazer, trendsetter. That's the Jack
Exactly.
of Spades at its highest.
Yep.
But at its lowest, the Jack of Spades is a trickster, a deceiver. He's a creative genius. So, if he uses it negatively, he's a liar, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the energy that we're bringing forward. And also, what's really interesting is the birth card for Bitcoin is the Jack of Spades as
Boom.
well. So
Boom.
that's interesting. Because I feel like there's a very similar energy there. Like, because there's a lot of people who have, traded Bitcoin or crypto or whatever and done very well. But there's a lot of people who have got absolutely wrecked. And I think that is exactly the nature of the Jack of Spades. When we look at what's called the life spread, so there's certain spreads of cards that delineate time, and where a card sits in the life spread kind of gives the card its attributes. And the Jack of Spades sits in the Mars Uranus line. So, like, and Uranus is kind of like that's unexpected things. That's unexpected breakthroughs, that's
Yep.
spiritual enlightenment, it's surprises. So you have that combined with Mars. So you have this like powerful energy of surprises. And what's really interesting is, even our leader here in the US is a three of diamonds who also sits in the Uranus line in Mercury. So it's like we have a lot of these like unpredictable forces at play here, on the macro, like on the macro global scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so like real. And when you talk about the Jack of Spades, so there's multiple octaves of one type particular energy. So you have we live in the 3D, so we have four corners, so to speak, right? Like the cube, which is representative of Saturn, ruler of this 3D matrix. So you have, and then you can compare that to the four seasons, right, that we currently experience in this matrix. You can then make that connection to the four suits of the cards. There's like an incredible like number connection and that brings all these methodologies together. And when you talk about the Jack of Spades, right? The Jack of Spades is also an octave or another layer of the Joker, of the Fool. They have very similar energy, just like Mercury and Uranus, right? They also have a connection in terms of energy layering, the same way that Mercury has a trickster side. Uranus also has that same energy, and Mercury is the ruler of markets and merchants. So, to know that this year is going to be really influenced by these cards where it's that trickster energy, that double energy, that face like double faced energy. And it's like the start of something new, but only you as the creator have the power to shape it into whatever it's going to be. I posted
That
something earlier about how this year is going to be the fire of the horse. And while many are, worried about it and concerned and, focusing on all the negatives, I'm like, yo, this is the year of opportunity. Are you freaking kidding me?
absolutely.
Like I said, you better be facing in the right direction because if you're facing down, it's gonna like, it's like putting a rocket under your ass. Like you're gonna go down to the depths of hell. If you're facing up, that rock is going to shoot you to the moon. You have to be in the right energy at the start of the year. I also put another post about how all of the rituals and the things that surround the new year, like the actual timing of the clock and all that, it's because that is the exact same energy that you will gravitate back towards to the entire year. It's like the baseline frequency for the year. And just the same as in the candles, when you mark your 1 minute candle on the daily, as the day starts at 12 o'clock midnight and you see price react to that same level all day long, it's the exact same thing. So, like really honing in on what that card talks about, what the card means, what's the best way to utilize that energy, whether you're doing it through the lens of astrology, numerology, or cardology. It's so key this year to be in tune with yourself, with what's coming, with all these energies that are going to bring in new stuff your way, and how to manage all that. Because if not, it's going to be like sand through your hands. But
That's a beautiful way of putting it, and I think that's something that more or less gets lost, like in a lot of these practices, is that a lot of people are reading the data and then reacting to the data and forgetting that it's you who decides how this energy is expressed. You know what I mean? And that's really evident in the cards. Where it's like every card has a high and a low expression, and it's up to you as an individual of how you're going to express that card. You know what I mean? And it's just like that in astrology as well, where you could have a really challenging aspect, but ultimately it's up to you of how that aspect is played out in your life.
mm, that makes a lot of sense for sure.
And yeah, it's something that you see, I think, like in the what makes the cards, I think, a little bit different than a lot of these other systems is because it is on an interpersonal level. So for example, like if you know your birth card, every card has a solar value. And so that's a number in the deck, basically. What card number in the deck is it? And then you can combine that with the Jack of Spades. So this year, and I think the Jack of Spades, if I remember right, it would be like the 50th card of the deck. So your card number plus 50, and then minus 52. And whatever card that is, that's your composite. So essentially, that's your relationship with the year. And so it's like, how will your energy play out in combination with this year's energy? And so you can even do that down to the weekly level, down to the daily level. You can do that at any level you really want. But that can be something really interesting when you're talking about trading, of figuring out optimal times for yourself to hit the gas. You know what I mean? Because instead of reacting to an asset, it's like, how about when's the best time for you to be making financial decisions? When's the best time for you to be hitting the gas? Maybe watching for your Jupiter day.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people don't realize that like you have the ability to find out what is your um like your primary planets and how to use that information to like boost your either business or your relationships or your interactions with different things throughout the month, years. I mean, you can use planetary hours or planetary days or for like even like for example, on I do most of my media related purchases, shopping, errands on Wednesdays because it's Mercury ruled, and I like to channel that energy of like focus, fast, and multitasking, which is all under the umbrella of Gemini and Mercurial energy. So, like, there's all these little things you can do through the week and the days to, like be in alignment with the energy. And a lot of people say, well, I'm going through a negative transit or I'm going through a negative experience. And I would say, well, yeah, that's fine. But the same way that the charts will bring you sort of the lessons or the ailment, it could also show you how to recuperate, how to remediate, and how to like find the remedies around it. In Feng Shui, they have remedies for when you have like an aspect in the house that you can't change and it's not helping with your chi flow. So there's all kinds of things you can do to support yourself. And, cardiology, I feel like it's just another extension or version of this. So, um,
Absolutely. I feel like, if you look ahead, whether you use astrology or the cards or whatever, it's like I feel like they can use it, just like you said. You can look at it and be like, oh, I might have something challenging coming up. But you could also use that as a target for being like, I am going to have the best expression of this possible. You know what I mean? And manifest that for yourself, like you're looking forward. So it's like, even if you do have, let's say you got challenging cards or you have a challenging aspect, but maybe you keep in mind how you're going to grow and how you're going to evolve through this process. And, I think keeping that sort of positive outlook, even through what seems to be something challenging, I mean, then you're just supercharging your growth. Because you're moving with the wind in your sails, and that's how I look at it. And I find that it's very very simple with the cards. It's really fast with the cards when you can because you can look ahead quickly, without looking at like a chart. But yeah, I think it can be really powerful just to utilize when things are personally good for you.
yeah, exactly. And so, carrying that same kind of idea, this year with the energy of the trickster coming in, it's so interesting because when I posted about this last December about how this year was going to be the year of the Joker. um Immediately I got a lot of comments from people who follow this one particular gentleman who is I guess one of his like avatars is a Joker, and um as soon as he started posting in the comments section, I felt his trickster energy, and I felt that he was kind of resembling that chaos that can come with a
Interesting.
Joker. And then all his people were starting to like post right under him, and I said, "Oh heck no! Hold up! No, 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 no! That's not what I'm talking about here, fellas!" Like, so
Yeah.
the Joker actually, if you look back at the years who also has been the Joker, or in this case, like you said, the Jack of Spades, um, every year that that happens, the market experiences chaos, crashes, unexpected variables, war. I mean, you seeing it all now. I mean, I already kind of like knew this was coming. And as soon as I opened that portal immediately. That energy came in, but right away I saged that. I started meditating on that, and I was like, no, 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 that is not the vibe. That is not what I'm bringing in. You know, um, Even though that's typically what you can see in that kind of year, also, like you said, there is that magician kind of energy that comes with the letting go, with the jumping over the cliff, with the opening to the possibilities. And I mean, um, even before I was using any of this information for financial purposes, back in 2006, 2008, I innately knew this in me. Like I just knew this information. I was channeling it already from other sources. And I bought my first home at the time, and in the Northeast, we call them triple deckers, which is like a house with three apartments. Mine actually had four because the basement was also finished as an apartment. So here's this young girl, coming out of college, and I hadn't even landed my first job yet, you know. And I managed somehow, because of all of the crashes and all of the things, to find opportunity while there were so many people around me losing their livelihoods, losing their houses. I actually bought a $1.5 million home for pennies. When I say pennies,
Incredible.
I mean pennies, okay? So it's wild to see, like, when you really channel the right energy this year of the Fool, like of the Joker, of that Jack of Spades. Like, I mean, the Jack of Spades is a new energy, but it's holding that spade. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
in tarot is the sword of truth, the sword of the real, the sword that cuts through things, the intelligence, the higher being that you can elevate to be. Like, that's really what this energy is about. And
absolutely. And if you choose it, and that's when you look at the Jack of Spades as well. So he's actually holding a very odd object if you look at the Jack of Spades. And a lot of people are like, what is that? I think it's like an hourglass. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to
mm,
represent time. And so he's looking away from the spade. He's the one-eyed Jack, so he has that deceptive quality, but
yeah,
he's looking away from the spade, meaning he can choose the spiritual path, but he's not looking towards it. He's looking at time. He's looking at the paradox of time. And so it's like that's a really interesting observation when you see what the court cards are holding. It actually gives a little bit more insight, and but it really shows how the Jack is fractal and is that magician and is the bender of time, so to speak, and the
that
bender of
is
the truth.
incredible. That is so
Yeah.
incredible. And I'm actually like looking it up right now so I can like put it on the stream to see if people can like see what you're talking about, because I just think it's like
Yeah.
super like important, right? That people can like see what this is.
Yes.
Um so yeah, but you can keep talking about it. I'm gonna try to pull it up here
Sure.
without like
Yeah, totally.
getting caught off
Um,
or like infringing on some kind of
yeah,
on
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of
totally.
like yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
and
go
that's kind of
ahead.
interesting. That's something I can run with right there. It's like, why haven't the cards changed like ever? You know what I mean? And what are these engravings, you know? So what's really interesting is no one really knows where the cards come from. Uh, the Chinese claim they invented it. The Egyptians, some people tie it to, some people tie it to the Indians, some people tie it to the French, some to the British, but ultimately no one really knows where they came from. And so what's interesting is there's uses of this system that aren't necessarily tied to playing cards, but used in the exact same way. 52 objects split into two colors. into four suits. And usually what they would do is they would actually represent each, and they have would have the same spot value, so it would actually represent the calendar. And so when you take all the cards and their spot values, aces being ones all the way up to kings being 13, and you add all the spot values together, you get 364. And you add the joker and you get 365 plus the extra fraction for the leap year. And so what's really interesting there is that when you actually remove the aces, you get 360. You get the full circle of time that goes
Yeah.
all the way around. And
Yep.
I apologize, my kids are screaming in the
Oh,
background.
please do not
But
apologize ever. Children,
yeah,
number
no,
one,
it's all
are
good.
such a gift, and
Absolutely.
they're like everything that we should strive to be. Free,
Absolutely.
wild, giving, loving, themselves, genuine. Don't ever, ever apologize in my presence for a child's voice. They're the
Oh
most
yeah.
amazing gift. So,
They
um,
just want to be involved. It's
yeah, and
a
like, did you do you remember back in the day? I can't remember how many years back it was, but this like it was like a huge thing where the guy was like in some kind of like morning show or something, and he was being interviewed, and his little baby girl comes in like dancing in the background, and then the little baby boy in the stroller, I mean in the walker, and then the mom running and yanking them
That's
out of
hilarious.
view. Oh my God, that was like the most hilarious thing. And like, it's just like such a thing like about our culture where we think like children should not be heard, only seen or whatever. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, they're the best things that like we have, and people just are so ashamed. But
Oh, definitely not ashamed.
no,
Definitely not. I
not
tend
you,
to,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
the culture, the culture.
Oh, yes. Yeah, totally. Well, this is a unique situation. I got King of Clubs and 10 of Diamonds boy. So they are both very, very ready to go. That's for sure. But hey, give me 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I'll
for
be
sure. Go take care of business.
yeah,
I'll add on a few things here. So, folks, just like he was talking about, it's really, really interesting because when I was looking at the connection between all of these things, right? Between the three methodologies of cardology, numerology, actually for tarot and astrology, right? Like he just said, when you take away the four aces, when you first, let's start with when you have the deck, right? The 52 cards, it's 364 matches with the 364 days, right? Then you add
right.
you can take away the four aces, like you said, which is 360, which is a complete circle, right? And
Yep.
then if you were to put back the aces plus you add the joker, now you have 365. So when people talk about the
Exactly.
Gregorian calendar and how we shouldn't use it because it was imposed by Rome and it's all false and all this and that, you know what I say to that? Bull crap. Who gives a hoot? Like, it doesn't matter who put it in. It doesn't matter which one is right. It doesn't matter which one is wrong. It's just that. It's a calendar. You can
Yep.
play by that calendar. You can play by other calendars. There's different calendars make sense for different things. When it comes to the financial markets, I find that the Gregorian calendar is very accurate when it comes to your place and aligning them with how the market reacts to how market price reacts to the transits, etc. And so I just feel like you can again focus on something being bad, evil, wrong, or you can focus on how do I maximize this? Okay, so it was imposed on us, we can't change it, or there's like, we're like, you can see it as a trap, or you can see it as I'm going to listen and understand these rules so I can then use them in my advantage and break them. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what you said about the calendar is actually something, it's a common question that I get. And honestly, it's like how these spreads and how the deck is laid out and stuff. It doesn't really matter where the calendar is labeled. It doesn't matter if it's labeled January or February or whatever. It doesn't really matter because it's a circle. So it's just like it's your spot on this circle. So it doesn't really matter the labels as long as you have your spot in the orbit of the sun. You know, you're set. So it doesn't really matter what sort of names they give these like days and stuff. You know.
That's awesome. I love having these discussions. I know that some people are asking they cannot they cannot understand because it's in English and English is not their first language. I don't ever usually use my YouTube for regular stuff. I usually use my YouTube channel for my students. I put a lot of my updates and stuff up there for them. So, but this time I actually am streaming there so that people who English is not their first language and they want to use the sub captions or the subtitles or in different languages, they can just hop on YouTube to check that out. Um, and I guess we can also open, and I can see the chat from there. I can see the chat from here. So if anyone has any comments or questions, whether they're watching from YouTube or they're watching on X, please post your comments and questions because I'm happy to, to address them here while we're still on the stream. We only plan on being on for like under an hour, so we'll probably be wrapping up soon. Um,
Yeah,
so
anyone got any questions? I think maybe a cool thing that we could maybe put up is like the life spread, just because that is like the foundation of
okay, I can,
chronology. And so, and then if anyone has any questions, or if you happen to know your card, I can tell you guys how to find your card. I can, um, I can do stuff like that.
okay, well, I can go
Yeah,
on your, I can go on your, on your feed here, and I think you have one of your spreads. I think it's is it the one with the two crowns and all the planets, or
yeah, that's it.
okay, so I'm gonna pop that up on the screen and I'm
Cool.
gonna share it and then you can just talk about it. I do see that we
Sure.
do have one question right now,
Okay.
um, which they're asking how it's like, how can one use this practically or learn this practically for, kind of, I guess, everyday life maybe?
Yeah,
I think
totally.
you mentioned knowing your birth card is one of the
Yeah, that would be the start, definitely. So the start would be learning what your birth card is. And so you can actually you can figure it out in your head. There's a table that I will be posting probably today or tomorrow. I'll post a table so you don't have to do the math. But basically, what you're going to do is you take the month and day of that you're born. So, for example, I'm born February 4th. So I will double my month, so 4 plus 4, 8, and then 55 minus that number. So 55 minus 8 is 47. The 47th card on the deck is the 8 of spades. So when you look on the life spread here, you can see in the Jupiter column or in the Saturn column in the Jupiter line is the 8 of spades. And so that's where I sit. And so these planets then give my card its attributes. So power and expansion through work, through discipline, karma, definitely be an honest person, things like that.
yeah.
That gives the 8 of spades a lot of power. But then also the numerology of the 8, which is also linked to power and transformation. Um, and then the spade. And the spade is the suit of work and wisdom and spirituality. So essentially, you have expansion through work in the spiritual realm
That
or
is
through wisdom.
so
Yeah,
freaking beautiful. Can you please say that again?
yeah, absolutely. So just yeah, I guess starting from the top is you would just find your card. Let's do a different card. Let's say, I don't
Let's
know,
say
let's
your
just pick one.
birthday was February 10th.
Okay, so February 10th. So you're going to double the month. So 4 plus 10, so 14, and then 55 minus 14, which is then going to be 49. Never do math in public. 39. Yeah. So,
Sorry for
uh,
giving you a hard
yeah,
one.
yeah, no, you're good. You're good. It's just, it's math in public. That's how it goes. So, yeah,
Too
then
bad in public. That sounds
yeah.
so dirty.
So yeah, he'd be the king of spades. So you can see king of spades up here. He's in the Venus column in the Mars line. So power through the love and creativity, the arts. Um,
Yes,
Honestly,
yes, that's right.
the king of diamonds is that's the businessman. My best friend is the king of diamonds. This is the entrepreneur. This is the man who cannot be tamed, and he will get his way no matter what. But not in a
Yeah, the
but
king
not in
of
a bad way.
coins. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely, but not in a bad way. It's the king of values essentially, and that's
Yes,
that's what
that's right.
the diamonds are values, and a lot of people look to them as like the money cards and things like that.
Yeah,
And
this
yes,
one right
it
here.
is it is money, yes, but but what does money get you? And it's essentially what you value. So it's values. So whenever we look at any of the diamond suits, we're thinking about any sort of possession or value or anything really in the material, but it can also be your own inner values as well. So something like encountering a seven of diamonds or something could be an upending situation that completely changes like how you value things in the world. You know what I mean? Maybe it's information, maybe it's an event, maybe it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to read these spreads,
Mm-hmm.
essentially you'll take this card. We have the king of diamonds here, and we'll
Yeah.
actually read from right to left. So
Okay,
it's the
right to
first
left.
card is then going to be the six of hearts, and that's the king of diamonds Mercury card. So that's going to mean with communication and in the realm of communication, quick thought and business and things like that. The six here is telling the king, be true to your word and be fair. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then moving on, you just go Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and then down to the next one, Neptune, Pluto, and then there's actually additional cards at the end as well that kind of tell you about this cycle that you're going through, and then the result of that cycle near the end.
That is
So
so
there's a
fascinating.
whole path that can be delineated from each one of these cards. And this is just your life. We can also go down to your year. We can go down to your lunar period, which is 28 days. We can go down to your weekly period, and you'll go every day, you'll go Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all the way through your spread. So it's like it's a fractal system, and this
Yep.
isn't the only spread, but this is the main spread. This is the life spread, and this delineates the life path for each one of these cards. So yeah, if you find out your card, you can kind of look and see who your neighbors are, see where you sit in the grid, and that kind of tells you who you are. And if
That
you're one
is
of these up here at the top in the crown line, well, you hold divine power in your column. So in Saturn, in Jupiter, or in Mars.
that
Very
is
interesting.
so crazy. And if we go back and we tie this to astrology, right? And you said the Eight of Spades, which is the connection between Jupiter and Saturn. So you talked about power, you talk about hate being prosperity, you talk about wisdom, hard work, all these things. So when you look at the cycle of Mercury, I'm sorry, of Jupiter and Saturn, that is actually one of the most widely used cycles and midpoints for market forecasting. There's actually um, a chart that's been flowing out there for a very long time that shows these patterns, and it gives you like when it's like this cycle, I'm sorry, and it shows you like the patterns of price that year, depending on what part of the cycle and the midpoints of the cycle where you can find like, the pivots and all that. Similarly, the one you said about Mars and Venus, being the king of value. So when Mars and Venus are in conjunction, price typically takes a quick dip, buys at discount, and then shoots up potentially until,
Amazing.
yeah, until like it they're in a conjunction until it's in the opposite in opposition. So there's so many ways we can flip this, cut this, dice this, you know, analyze it. And we can like literally be here for hours just talking about the connection, like the math behind it and all of its forms. It always blows my mind. It's just incredible. What a gift that you have brought this to us. Just it's just a reminder that I gotta dive into this more this year. I'm so happy that you have shown up in my life. I hope we can connect more in the future. I hope we can collaborate and do some great things. Um, it's just exciting. 2026 is
Yeah,
going to be amazing, guys. Don't let anybody fudge you out of your like out of your light. Like this is your year. Like, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And you guys know if you've been following me for a while, I don't do the FOMO thing. I don't do the FUD thing because everything that I have succeeded in has come from a period of challenge. And so you have to, you can't dwell on stuff like that. You have to really stay focused and stay true to yourself and stay grounded, you know? This is your
absolutely.
year.
Absolutely. Be the best Jack you can be this year.
The
It's like
best Jack you could be.
which,
I
which
love
Jack
it.
are you going to be?
If
Yeah.
you if you did not take anything from this discussion today, guys, like we have a few other questions while I was sharing my screen. My dear friend Jason says I have the three of diamonds and the five of spades. I don't know much about those cards, but I'm sure Ty can tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about those cards.
Sure can. So I assume this is probably your birth card, Jason. So I'm gonna go off that. The three of diamonds is the exploration of
Hmm.
values. So you have the three, which is a restless energy, but the goal of the three is to take all that energy and line it up, just like the pips on the card, how all three pips are in a vertical line. That's the goal here with the three. Instead of a scattered energy all over the place, you need to pick one goal and align to it and shoot forward, because then you are unstoppable energy. You're half an eight. So it's like that's unstoppable energy, and all that's really difference between a three and an eight is just structure. And so if you bring the structure to the three, I mean, this is an incredible card for business. This is Trump's card. He's the three of diamonds. No one can say that he's not good at business. You know what I mean? And it's like this is the card of partnerships. This is the card of exploring new businesses, as well as exploring what new values may mean to you. So, like, maybe you grew up in a very materialistic household. Maybe your path is then to flip that on its head and point your compass in a new direction. And I think you said, was it the five of spades? Sorry, I can't see the
Yeah,
chat.
that is
Five of
so
spades.
funny you said that because I know Jason personally because I've worked with him before and he's actually helping me with a project. By the way, shout out to Jason. This dude is so knowledgeable when it comes to like technology projects, Web3, all that good stuff. And we literally been talking about this. That's exactly what he does. Like he
That's awesome.
literally
That's
doesn't
yeah, it's
say.
hungry. It's hungry energy, really
It's
hungry.
like
You know what I
he's
mean?
just so good at like finding solutions and creating things and like amazing. That's just
That that is awesome, and that's exactly it with like especially the five of spades as well, because the five of spades is like exemplifying that energy. That's also exploration in the physical through the five senses, but you have spades, so that's your you experience and then gain wisdom through that experience. So it's like the more man, this is a crazy combo for you, Jason, because it's like this is basically telling you is just like exploration and just like finding new things is what's
That's
going to bring
exactly
you
what
the
he
most.
does. This is
Yeah,
so
it's going to bring you like the most value, you know? So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
he finds like he is always exploring like, and he's right now doing this amazing work with tokenization and just finding new ways to like incentivize and like, oh my God, like it's just like he's working on this proof of concept of his current like ideas and whatnot projects, and I see great things coming his way, and he's been working on this for a while, so I'm super proud and super pumped for him. This is so cool.
That's
Um,
awesome, Jason.
yeah, and then there we have another one who is an eight of space as well. And however, I do see some people kind of wondering because they have been maybe under the impression that they're a particular card, but they're born on a different year than the methodology that I'm sorry, in a different month than the
Okay.
methodology that you just explained on how to find your card. And I know that
Okay.
there's other people who do cardology, and I don't know if there's like a difference. I don't know if you want to talk about maybe the different types of cardology or something like that.
Sure. Well, it should like the formula should work. The birth card formula is the same across the systems. There's a lot of the variances in the systems are things that like you probably won't come across unless you get really deep into it, like myself or something. But but the birth card formula is the same for everybody. I should just put up that chart because it's way easier to just look at the
Yeah, I can
chart
put it up
and do
again.
the but and then also it's like knowing the cards of the deck in your head. So it's like 1 through 13 is going to be the hearts, 14 through 26 is the clubs, 27 through 39 is the diamonds, and then 40 through 52 is going to be the spades, and then you have 53. So if you if you did like 12 times 2 plus 31 minus 55, you end up with zero, and so zero is the Joker, and so
Right,
that's the
right.
Joker birthday for New Year's Eve. But yeah, it should be the same for everybody. But I'm happy to help out anyone who like DM me, message me, reply to one of my posts, something like that. I'm happy to help you find your birth card. And also, we can find like other things too, because you have multiple cards actually tied to you. You have a birth card, you have a spirit card, a soul card, and a
Yep,
planetary ruler as well. So
yep.
it's like there's a few that you can actually look at that will delineate a little bit more about who you are as a person.
What I
Um,
recommend for people is that they don't DM you because it gets lost in the sauce. I always say comment underneath your post because then when they ask the questions and you answer it publicly, you can help everyone else around you who may have the same question or who may benefit from reading that post. So, guys, definitely give him a follow and go check out his posts. Feel free to, write underneath and whatnot, in his comment area and yeah, get some of
yeah,
this information. I want to check out, I think there were a few other questions. Ash says, he's trying to do the math. It says math in public, scrunchy face. That's gonna become a thing, I swear. Like I remember when I was obviously in elementary school and they teach you like math and whatnot. When I went back to do my graduate program in education, and they reteach you math because the math and in a way it was which was taught to us in elementary school has changed, and now they want you to teach children math in a whole different way. And I remember having to relearn math and feeling so freaking excited well, I'm a math geek to begin with, but so I might be biased, but I was like super excited about like how easy it can be now to actually like do math in public and how hard they made it for when we were learning math. I was like, that's like shameful. So we have a couple more people who would like to know. We have a 10 of spades. No, wait, that's the planetary ruler. We have a Queen of Diamonds. Tell me a little bit about the Queen of Diamonds.
Sure. So yeah, the Queen of Diamonds. So this is also very similar, to the King of Diamonds, where it's like this is going to be a great business leader card, male or female. But what makes the difference here is the Queen is more in the service area businesses. So it's like things of like helping others and or like hospitality, philanthropy, like things like that. It's more on the receptive end, more on the female end. You know what I mean? Rather than the King of Diamonds is more like the trailblazer type energy. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Um, the Queen of Diamonds is really interesting. Has a life path with a lot of odd numbered cards, which means a lot of change. So we have like a five and a couple threes and a nine and a seven and a five. So it's like there's a lot of change in store for a Queen of Diamonds. And I think the main challenge for a Queen of Diamonds is to, with all that change, is to not get too negative about it, and to always see the positive side of things. I mean, this is an insanely powerful card. All the queens are super psychic.
yep,
You know what I mean?
yep.
It's wild how intuitive they are. And so, yeah, use that energy and just don't get down on yourself. That'd be my
Excellent.
recommendation.
So I'll give you two more and then we'll like pause here and of course they can come to our next get together and we can do a few more. So we have a seven of clubs and
Okay.
a four of clubs. We have a lot of clubs in the house today.
Yeah, totally. So there's actually the most diamonds in clubs. So there, most people are going to be a diamond or a club, and if you're a heart or a spade, you're one of the more rare ones. I think spade is the rarest by a margin, by a tiny little bit. But seven of clubs. So yeah, seven of clubs is like, I mean, this is an insanely spiritual card. Like you are meant to, you're here for a reason. You know what I mean? It's like you have a drive for mystical knowledge. Like there's a reason why you're sitting here listening to this stream. Like this is your
Right.
card. This is you actually have the Jack of Spades as your soul card, or as your yes, as your soul card. So that is a gift that you're going to be given, which is insane creativity. You're going to be given basically the high side of the Jack of Spades, which is that like person who can see through the ripples of time, who is the creative genius, who is the spiritual initiate. That is an insanely powerful card. And your spirit card is the Eight of Diamonds, the power of money. So I don't know if you
Oh
can
my
somehow,
God. I mean, you can't ask
yeah,
for a better card. Come on.
yeah, seriously. Yeah, especially being in this realm, it's like, yeah, if you can somehow tie the metaphysical to business or to something, some sort of creative endeavor, I mean, you're going to be doing really, really well.
That's awesome. And our last card for the day is the four of clubs.
Four of clubs, cool. Yeah, my other really good friend, he's a four of clubs. So this is a great businessman, someone who connects people, found like foundations of thought, building systems, an organizer, a project leader, a manager. This is the rock. You know what I mean? This is someone who like if someone had a problem or like needed a good business partner or something like that, they would turn to a four of clubs. Like not necessarily only in business, I know we're talking about finance, but it's like this is also like you could just be a really solid person to give like advice, be a good counselor. You know what I mean? You have a six of hearts as your soul card. which is like you understand emotion and the value of honesty and transparency. So it's like you understand people really, really well, but you also understand systems really well.
Wow, that's so fascinating. I've always loved this. I have several books on this subject. I haven't done any self-studying. I mean, only research for the book that I'm working on. And yeah, and I would love to dive deeper into this. I just think this is incredible work. I think it's going to come in
Thank you very
super
much.
handy for people in 2026. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more this year on transitioning people out of the realm of finances and into how to maximize whatever they can, muster to gain from in 2026. I know that there's a lot of negativity about what's coming this year. But like I said, guys, you have to stay steadfast. You have to stay on the know. You have to stay positive. You can't let people wear you down with that kind of energy. You really have to take this year, like Ash is saying, like a boss.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like you have to just you have to take it by the horns literally this year and step up your game because the powers that be, quote unquote, right? They're going to do a lot of changes between 2026 and 2027, and they're going to start ushering all of that into 2028, 29, and 30. And we are not going to have the same world that we have today in just a few years. And this is not to scare anyone, but to just make you aware that you have to start taking things seriously, that you have to start preparing, that you have to be in your game. This is the year to start that. And like I said, it starts with that Joker, it starts with the Fool's journey. And maybe in the next stream we'll talk a little bit more about the astrology and the tarot and how that plays a role. And then you can offer a little bit of insight on how then that connects to the cards. Because it will be important to start looking at, the upcoming season and what that's going to bring, so that people can be ready for it.
absolutely. Yeah, and I would love to do that. I would love to make this a regular thing. This was so much fun, and honestly, we haven't even like scratched the surface on this.
No,
Like,
not
there's
even.
so much.
Not
There is
even. I wanted to
so
talk about the math, I wanted to talk
yeah,
about so much, but no, it's like it's all good. I mean, it just happened as it should, and it was so much fun. I knew it would be. I knew it in my bones. I'm just so happy. I'm so excited. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna have so much fun. We really
yeah.
are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dee. Yeah, this has been great. And yeah, please, anyone, yes, anyone needs help, please get at me somehow. I'm more than happy to help anyone interested in the system. So, but yeah, excited to share more with everyone. Um, this is you make your own reality. So it's like however you want to shape it, it starts with you. And whether it be the cards or astrology or whatever you need to do to look forward and manifest the best possible year for yourself, go out and do it, because
Oh.
you're not going to change this other stuff that's going on, but you can direct your own life. And this is what it's all about.
That's right. And of course, before we wrap it up, it wouldn't be a the Wolf of Wall Street stream without talking about the markets as we wrap up this session. And you and I talked a little bit about what the next week is bringing for the markets. I talked about a little bit of the astrology, which I can add up for the audience today. But so I talked about a pivot happening and how next week is going to be more bullish to neutral versus the last couple of days, which I let people know for a while now that from the 6th to the 10th it was a more down energy, opportunities for reaccumulation, for this next leg up. And, even though we're going to have a small pivot and retrace to retest some support again, sometime in the upcoming week or towards the end of this upcoming week, we're going to start the week with a much more positive and green energy. So, and I know you mentioned that you saw a lot of diamonds for next week. So why don't you, tell people a little bit about what the diamonds represent and what does that mean in your book?
Sure. Yeah. It's like we said is diamonds are values. So it's like we can tie that to money, but essentially it's values. But these are all very powerful money cards. And when you actually look at like it's the exact same calendar as like how the birth cards are laid out, that's essentially the global energy of the day. So whatever day you're born under, that's the global energy of that day. So if we look at, what are the upcoming birth cards and for the year, we look and we see on the 13th is actually, which is Tuesday, will be the Ace of Spades. And the Ace of Spades is one of the most mystical, powerful cards of the deck. It's primarily one of the reasons why you see the Ace of Spades as a symbol for the playing cards in general. But it's the birth of a new transformation. And so I definitely see that as that's a huge time to be a big pivot in the markets, because when it comes up personally in our spreads, there's only two cards that are really more powerful, and it would be probably the nine of diamonds, the ace of diamonds, or the five of diamonds, or the ace of spades, the nine of spades, or the five of spades. Excuse me. And now when we look at then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have the king of diamonds, the queen of diamonds, and the jack of diamonds to close out the week. So we have some very powerful financial and material energy towards the end of the week. Now, how will you interact with this energy? Hopefully, very positively. As we said, we make a composite off each day, but that energy is there on a global level. And I find that the global level energy is what manipulates the markets from first and foremost.
Awesome. That really does match because I see the highest energy coming in, from like, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday onwards and fading towards the top, like top-ish energy towards the end of the week. So that will make a lot of sense as we progress through the week for volume to come in and give us more strength towards the end of the week as we then sort of see that topish energy coming in and then weakness creeping in after the end of the week. So that sounds about right. I expect us to take some, good profits and yeah, and then see what the week after that brings us. Maybe I can make a post about that in the upcoming days, right when right when I see it happening. I don't like to give too much too early because people really don't know what to do with that energy and then they get all flustered. I like to get as close to the date of the expectation so that they um can act. You give them too much time, they freak out. But yeah, so that's really great. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I did not know that about the global energy and um and how that in terms of like the cards, right? Cardology. And it does kind of make sense as you if you really think about it because in astrology is similar it's similar. So for financial astrologers, there's different kinds of financial astrology, but I like to break them up into two categories, the fundamentalist and the which and the analytical. So the fundamentalist is the one that looks at market fundamentals, like when you cast a chart for a country, a political event, a leader of a country, or a leader of an agency, or a governmental agency, etc., where it gives you more of a global perspective, right? It gives you more of an global economic perspective. And then the more of the analyst financial astrology, which focuses more directly on the price action of a particular asset or the lifetime of the asset. Um, and more relationship to market and um, price action, earnings, things of that nature. But yeah, it's really cool to see how it all aligns. Yeah, so we're gonna be wrapping up now, and I thank you once again for coming and joining us. Thank you for everyone who showed up. Thank you everyone who shared our live stream and for everyone who joined us on YouTube. We will be doing this more often since you guys seem to have enjoyed it as much as we have. Any last minute words?
That should be about it. I'm looking forward to this week. Yeah, we'll see how this. We'll see if we get the big pivot and the big push this week. I mean, we definitely have the cards for it. So, yeah, I hope everyone has a awesome week. And yeah, don't be a stranger.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Stay in the know and stay goated. Bye bye.
So, thanks, D.